And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's the website. Go there. No clue why I'm out of breath. I just said that. I just ran to get a watch because my smartwatch is charging. Just ran to get a regular analog watch. It's one of them turners. And hand turners. And one of them hand turners. That's how they describe books now. It's one of them hand toners. Anyway, and then I ran to get my phone, and then I came back here. Don't know why I am out of breath. Let's get on with this. Let's get on with the show. Lots to talk about. Listen, next week's news time is I was thinking about this earlier today, and actually yesterday because I looked at the schedule. I thought I had one more week of. Weird slam that hurt a scream. I thought I had 2 more weeks of shows for this season of whatever news time is. I thought I had 1 episode, and then I was going to do my last episode for the year, and then the 3 that I usually do at the end of the year. 3 compilations. Here's the thing. Looked at the schedule. Turns out I have 1 more episode left. And it's a doozy. It's already planned out. It's been planned out for about 3 weeks now. I just need to write it, but all the information I have, all the information that has been trickling out, it's about Warner Brothers Pictures, switching to HBO Max and theatrical release same day and date for their movies for 2021 because of the pandemic, and people are not happy. People who make movies are not happy. People who watch movies probably are, and let me tell you, you should not be happy. And that's all. I'll leave it at that. So let's move on. Let's keep moving on. Let's keep moving through. I feel like there's 2 stories that I don't know. Okay, anyway. This first one is coming from what? Okay, this never happens. This never happens. Hold on. Give me a second. This never happens. For some reason, Notion did not. It saved 2 versions of 1 story for me, and it did not bring up this Billboard story. Okay. This comes from Billboard. Stream ripping is the next frontier for piracy wars, written by Eric Gardner. I know Eric Gardner. I've heard him on the New York Times podcast, I believe. He's a wonderful writer, and he's a smart person when it comes to music. I think, and before I get to the story, I think there's just like any type of criticism, and we'll get to this later on with the release of Cyberpunk 2077. Is that there's a lot of bad critics, but there's a lot of good critics who can put their thoughts down and stand out from the rest, who say this good, this bad, because a lot of the critics, what it amounts to is this good, this bad, and well, it's not necessarily bad for everybody or good for everybody. I don't want to be on WikiFeet. I don't know why. I'm not wearing socks today. Please don't add me to WikiFeet. Please don't add me to WikiFeet. Oh no, my toes are so wet with water. Oh no, look at my toesies. Oh, I better dry them off with my shirt. Ooh, let me just take off my shirt and so you could add this to WikiFeet, and you can dry off my feet with my little toesies with my little shirtsy. Ooh, oh no, you can see my cuticles of my big toe. That answered a fetish for somebody, right? So gross. My cat is looking at me and she's shaking her head. I'm sorry, Nova, sweetie. So, criticism, it can happen, twofold. And what I've learned, especially from reading James criticism, I go to a website called thejames.org, and they just review all the Jameses in the world. Wait till you get to James Madison, because, boy, didn't think I was going to pull James Madison out of my head, but there you have it. So, games criticism, there's a lot, I know it's a medium where it's not supposed to be as serious as a music or a movie critic. But God bless, man, a lot of the game critics are juvenile and write like they surf the internet all day, and that's not entirely appetizing when it comes to. I need to know the ins and outs and the intricacies of this game, or what do you have to say about this trailer, or the what's behind developers' crunch time and pushing people to the brinks of going crazy and not paying people and voice actors and this and that and the other. Yeah. But there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good games critics out there. There's a lot of good movie critics out there. There's a lot of good music critics. I just tend to stay away from reviews now. Anyway, so let's get back to this. Let's see. So we used to be able to just download music left and right when it comes to ripping music, to stealing music. LimeWire. You could just go to MySpace and download things. I can only assume I never had MySpace. But now there is a new problem where people are just, I mean, obviously it's not a new problem, but YouTube has become the de facto place to steal music from, even though music is now the easiest it's ever been to get. the easiest ever, like literally the easiest ever. So now the question here is it right? The subject of the developing battle is YouTube DL, a third-party software tool that enables its users to rip videos and songs from the Google-owned platform. Illegal? Not necessarily, say proponents of the tool. Section 1201 of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act prohibits circumvention of technological measures designed to protect access to copyrighted works. But if there's no circumvention, then there's no Section 1201 violation. And some are questioning whether YouTube has really presented roadblocks. So what they're basically saying is that YouTube DL is you go to a concert, you hold up you pull out your phone and you're recording a video or audio of a never before played song or your favorite song. That is basically what that is. The example they give here is, back in the early 2000s and 90s, if you had a radio with a cassette player that could record, then you just get a blank cassette, blank tape, put it inside the cassette deck, close it, press record, and you can record from a CD, you can record from the radio. That's basically what YouTube DL and anything else that these YouTube downloaders are. Now, I use a YouTube downloader not to steal stuff, but for B-roll, for news time in particular. It's a two-way street when it comes to that, because it's not really stealing, but there are, every single downloader the downloaders I use, every time, like if you put a music video in there, for instance, which I don't know why people wouldn't want to download that, but if you put a music video in there, for instance, it'll say, hey, we can't download this because it's music, we can't download this because it's a episode of a TV show, things like that. So the developing fight has the potential to be a consequential one, both for the entertainment industry and beyond. Section 1201 has been around for a quarter century and has been explored a few times in court. Copyright experts say that what constitutes an illegal circumvention, in quotes, is largely untested in American courts. What's more, with auto owners, smartphone owners, and others now complaining that copyright laws prevents them from tinkering, Congress has taken a renewed interest in 1201. So this is a great feature from Mr. Gardner, and that it really explores the American side of the issue as well as the European court side, and what the actions are for both governments, and what the potential actions are for both governments, and how we can, how they, will tackle this. And this is very interesting. There's a headline within the story for a separate story called YouTube Reports Revenue Up 32%, Paid Music and Premium Subscribers Top 30 Million. I don't know if I talked about that, but yeah, YouTube Music is the new version of music for Google Play Music, even though it's not new. And I can just hear people walking by outside for the first time ever. It's very but like very close to the wall. Like they were just putting their mouths up to the wall. Like, and this is yeah. But no, it's tricky territory because obviously, yes, there are people stealing music, but then there are, news organizations or people just wanting to have things for posterity's sake. Because at any point, and I've mentioned it before with Amazon, for like doing Amazon Video or even Apple for the movies you buy on there. At any point, they could just go, "Hey, we don't want to do this anymore, so goodbye," and then they could disappear, and everything could be gone. So same thing for YouTube. YouTube, Google could go, "This is boring. We're gonna take over the world," and then they could just blow up YouTube servers, and then that'll be it. You could never watch News Time again. So this is a great piece. I urge you to check it out. I think it's really well done. And then the next thing, speaking of music, comes from the New York Times. Obviously, this is a huge story as well. Bob Dylan sells his songwriting catalog in Blockbuster deal. So that's about 600 songs. He sold it to Universal Music. And I believe this has how much money it was? 300 million, estimated to be more than 300 million. Dylan is 79 years old. So what does this mean? Well, I love the pause. I felt wonderful doing it. You know what? And I truly, at the end of this, I don't know what this means. But this has been one of the things that's been happening in recent days. Stevie Nicks sold a majority stake in her songwriting for close to $80 million to Primary Wave Music. A bunch of companies own, or one company owns, let's see, Blondie, Rick James, Barry Manilow, Chrissie Hynde, The Pretenders, and others. Wow. Interesting. I didn't know a lot of people were so willing to give up the rights to their music. Since Universal now controls, this is what it means. Since Universal now controls his work, Dylan will no longer have veto power over how his songs will be used. So have been times where, Tom Petty's "Won't Back Down" was played at a Trump rally, and Tom Petty goes, "Hey, bump that, stop playing it, cease and desist." Same thing for other people who are played at Trump rallies who don't want to be played at Trump rallies. So now Universal can, just profit from his music, and yeah, I don't know why he would do this. I understand that he's an older gentleman, but he's got a lot of songs. He's got hundreds of songs, and he still has some life. He's still working, and he's won the Nobel Peace Prize. Maybe this is just like his. He's not a punk rocker, but this is like an attitude where like I don't need this stuff. Taylor Swift's first 6 albums were sold, from Scooter Braun to let's see, who was it? To a different company. I don't remember. But thank you, ESPN. I'm not going to turn it off. Swift then signed a publishing deal with Universal in February. I have no idea what this is going to mean for the future of his songs and his music, but it just means right now that Universal can make money off of the stuff, and they can, instead of going to Dylan, who owned his catalog, you'll be going to Universal and saying, "Hey, can we use this for Enchanted 2, Disenchanted?" Which is insane that Disney's making. You know what? I don't want to talk about that because that's going to piss me off. All right, listen, we'll take a break and then we'll come back and talk about some more stuff. Here we go. Going to break. You know what? Embarrassing. I did not have the iPad near me at all. Here we go. Going to break. Let's do it now. And we're back to the show that was this show. I almost got off on a little bit of a tangent in the last section. So Disney had this investors meeting, and obviously if you're listening to this, then you know that they had their investors meeting. And now usually investors meetings are what happened at the top of new quarters, or the middle of new, just in new quarters of the year. And for stock people, For companies to tell, their stock investors to say, hey, what we have on the horizon. And Disney announced that they have like all this crap that's coming, 15 Marvel shows, 15 Star Wars shows, 10 Star Wars movies, 15 Pixar TV shows, and a new Buzz Lightyear movie starring Chris Evans, the one person in Marvel that I dislike the most. It is very true. And just all these other things that are coming. And this is going to, this is going to sound like anything. I think that's just bad. That's just a bad way of, bragging about these things. When you've just fired, how many people has Disney fired this year? Disney layoffs. Let's see. Disney's laid off so many people this year, and they're, let's see. All right, so let's go to CNN. And they just mention these Star Wars and these Marvels and Pixar's, and they expect us to be excited about that. Now, obviously, the regular person is going to be happy and excited, but when it comes to Jesus, CNN, I swear to God, if you're listening, do not have autoplay videos anymore, or I will never come to your website. So Disney employs about 223,000 people, according to its most recent annual report. It announced plans to cut about 28,000 jobs in September. And instead, by the end of March, they're going to shed 32,000. The pandemic has slammed Disney's park business, which has more than 100,000 employees in the United States. The company also forced to suspend cruise sailing ships. Oh, who cares? Whatever. And they closed down Radio Disney. Let's see. So 32,000 people will lose their job. And that's just the people that they've already talked about. I think they've already laid people off from Fox earlier. Let's see. This is from Hollywood Reporter's called It's a Bloodbath. I didn't want to talk about this, but now this is written by Peter Rice. No, excuse me, Leslie Goldberg. Peter Rice is the photographer. Sources say some more than 100 staffers have been impacted by the layoffs, and this was from December 3rd or December 2nd time, written December 3rd. So that's last week at this point. More than 100 people. That includes executives. That includes people who work in their corporate offices and people who work for 20th, which was owned by Fox before. So, I mean, people should not be excited that there's going to be, Boba Fett can touch butts with Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, Doc Ock is coming back, and Electro's there, and Captain America is no longer supporting young racist kids. Which is a very true thing that happened that no one seems to remember. I mean, it's just interesting how people, this next story I'm going to talk about Facebook, how people want to, take down Facebook. Oh, they're ruining us. Oh, they're hurting us there. Yeah, but what about, these big companies? Facebook's a monopoly, but then what about Disney that owns 40% market share of the theatrical market? I mean, you can't have it, one way for one thing. It's crazy. If you're going to be an activist for one thing and then support another, you're a hypocrite. That's what it makes you. So listen. And then this comes, and obviously, I think Disney, and I was thinking about this morning, Disney makes great shows and movies. They have the ability. They obviously have the talent. They can, they can make a Chippendale movie with John Mulaney and some other white comic, Andy Samberg, and then have their white friend Akiva direct. I say that, I say that because I like these people, but it's just crazy to think that you can't be on the side of Black Lives Matter and then go and watch Dumbo from Disney, which again came out after Black Panther and has 0 people of color in it. I watched Mulan last night, and God bless, that was bad. Just not a good movie. And I like everything. So Let's move on. Vera, what are you doing popping up ads on here? This comes from Wall Street Journal, I believe. Nope, New York Times, which charged me the annual rate that was not discounted, and I am not happy. It's hard to prove, why antitrust suits against Facebook faces hurdles, written by Mike Isaac and Celia Kang. So basically what the government wants to do is break up Facebook. The issue is Facebook bought WhatsApp and Instagram when its own offerings prior to those weren't excelling. Pictures weren't doing so hot, for Facebook, and their own messaging wasn't doing too well either. And then they bought up those companies. I think WhatsApp was Instagram was like 30 billion. I think they bought it for something like that. And then one of them was 30 billion. One of them, let me see, because I don't want to sound stupid. I type in the word billion and you can't find it on here. Anyway, I think they bought Instagram for a couple of billion and WhatsApp for a couple of billion. And now they're these massive social platforms and messaging platforms, respectively. Well, WhatsApp's the messaging one, that everyone around the world uses. And now, the lawmakers and states and governments around the world are saying, and around the United States are saying, hey, this is not fair. You bought them up and you're trying to, again, monopolize. But looking at it from a business standpoint, and then what they want to do is break up Facebook. They want Facebook to sell off Instagram and WhatsApp, their two most popular products. I don't know why they can't break up Facebook like the way they broke up Google. YouTube and some other services are owned by Alphabet. Well, it's all owned by Alphabet, but YouTube and some other services are owned under this arm of Alphabet, and then Waze and some other services are under this arm of Alphabet, and then the search is under its own thing of Alphabet. So, but I mean, looking at it from a business perspective, yeah, I get, yeah, what they did was bad. But again, Disney bought Fox, AT&T, has its phone and TV services and stuff. Oh boy, I got 2 text messages in a row from the same person. It's wonderful. I feel so loved. But yeah, it is bad that the way that Facebook did this. But what's interesting is, and this is what every single news organization has latched on, and rightly so, is that the person that came out and talked about this stuff, they said that when Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook zoned in on Instagram when they were going to buy it, they said that he, quote, went into capture and kill mode or something like that, destroy and kill mode or something like that. And I think that's so funny because everybody thinks he's a robot, and the way that they just put it is just so funny. So let's see. Yeah, it's not even on here. Okay, so. But will it be difficult to break up Facebook? And the thing is, yes, it's going to be incredibly hard. So they acquired Instagram in 2012 and WhatsApp in 2014. They were vetted with market analysis for how they might affect competition. The acquisitions ultimately proceeded. This is during the Obama administration. I mean, even if Facebook tried to buy it now during the Trump administration, it'd be the same thing. Nobody would blink an eye. For years, Facebook, they say Mr. Zuckerberg, but don't. Yes, he runs Facebook, but he's not the reason why things happen all the time. Mr. Zuckerberg for years operated WhatsApp, Instagram, and Messenger independently, but he announced he would unite their underlying infrastructures last year so they would work together better. That way, someone could send a private message from his or her Instagram account to a friend using Facebook Messenger, and these two services would communicate seamlessly. I think it'd just be better to delete Messenger, make WhatsApp its own private thing that you can use on the Facebook platform. And then, but like, if you want to not connect your Facebook to it, then don't. And then if you do, then do. But obviously not going to do that. There's the new Oculus that came out. There's like a mid-level Oculus that came out that you can use with your PC, or you can use on its own. I think it's Oculus Quest 2. The only way that you can sign in and use it because otherwise you can't. You have to sign in. Is with the Facebook account, and I would love that Oculus because it's affordable. It's got great games on it, however, and experiences. But however, you can only use Facebook to log in, and that's a big bummer for me. And even though I use mostly Google or a password manager to log in with things, I don't want to just log in. I don't want to have one option to log in with things, and because that just seems insane. And again, it goes back to, if Facebook's doesn't want to do games anymore, they can just delete that store and everything will be on that headset, and that'll be it, for you. So, yeah, it's an antitrust lawsuit. So, will Facebook be able to win? Who knows? Will the government be able to break them up? Who knows? So there you go. This is from the Wall Street Journal. This is the last story. Behind the rocky release of Cyberpunk 2077, a new video game featuring Keanu Reeves. This is written by Sarah E. Needleman. So, again, going back to what I was talking about at the top of this, a game critic named Callie Plaguey from GameSpot, who's a reviews editor, she put out her review of Cyberpunk 2077, and she gave it a 7, which is a wonderful score for any game. But the way she did mention so many issues she had with the game, in particular with a misrepresented trans character, with bugs in the game, and she rightly mentioned all that stuff in a review that was, I would say, too long. Reviews editor, let's cut it down and say it in so many words. But good job, Kelly. And then people, just mostly because she's a woman with an opinion in gaming, they attacked her for it, and she's one of the better people that are the better gaming people out there to talk about things. But then you have what is his name? This guy from IGN. I was gonna say white guy, but they're all white guys. This guy Mark Thomas or something from IGN. He's a great reviewer too, great critic as well, a great games person. And he wrote a similar review, but he gave it a 9, and people just praised him and got on their knees. The game comes out, it does have a lot of bugs, and people do actually have problems with it, but no one goes back and is like, hey, yeah, because like you'll see videos on YouTube all the time where people are like, oh, these reviewers are stupid and mean and wrong, but. Anyway, Cyberpunk 2077 had a bunch of issues, and those issues show within the game. The development issues were that they were trying to rush it out basically before this year. It's on the regular PS4 and Xbox One. It's on Xbox Series X and PS5. It's on PC, and it's on Google Stadia. It only runs well on everything but the PS4 and the Xbox One. It runs well on pretty much everything else, but there are still bugs. They rushed it. The story is not that good. It's the same people, the same developer, CD Projekt Red, who did Witcher 3. And, I think that's the problem with video games. People just want something so bad that they wanted it to be good. And if someone says it's bad, no matter, even if it's good, they're gonna support it and tell that person to kill themselves and that they're wrong and stuff. But then they get mad when a Star War is, hires a person of color or a woman in a role. So anyway, same thing happened with Days Gone. Days Gone on PS4 came out, all these bugs and stuff, and story's only all right and this and that, but people wanted it to be so good, so hard, that they just willed it, and the bugs are still there. Because you know how I know? It's because I want to buy that game, and I look at reviews, I read updates all the time, and it's still the same game virtually. But yeah. Anyway, video games are tough, and people need to understand that. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people, comedians you like Chris Gethard. I just talked to him. His video is up, and his interview's up on the podcasting realm under Constitutionalist Podcast, RSS feed. If you want to see a video version of this show, as well as that video interview, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see our premiere show, News Time, which is a weekly news show, where I sit down and I discuss one topic and try to make it as good as possible like a daily show. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram at @CPlusComedy. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram at @ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe. Review this podcast. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, literally wherever you get your podcasts. I'll be there. I'll be there. I know it's a Michael Jackson reference. It's young Michael, so it's before he was bad. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Go ahead. This is the part where it goes out. Okay.